Greetings YouTube, this is Pooch for the win, bringing you a Wi-Fi battle against jdw142. Looking at his team, I don't see anything I'm not really familiar with. He's got some heavy hitters in the form of Typhlosion, Hunchcrow, and Feraligatr, bulky offense in Gallade, and support in Lantern and Claydol. I'm just bringing my usual RU team, which is built around Rhydon, with a dual screen support from Uxie and healing from Alamomola. And nothing I can see on his team is really that big of a threat to me. So without further ado, let's just get right on into the battle. So as is pretty standard in the way that I play this team, I'm leading off with Berlin, my Uxie, while he's going to lead off with Bake Meat, the Typhlosion. And I know he's just want to go for an eruption right off the bat to put a dent into whatever Pokemon I lead with. But I know that I can live at least one, barring a crit. So I can just use that knowledge to set up a light screen, and that's really going to help to nerf the power of that eruption and allow me to make a pretty safe switch out. I'm just going to switch into Aloe Vera, my Alamomola, to take the next eruption on a resist, and behind a light screen it's effectively a 4 times resist, so this is just going to do negligible damage, especially after Leftover is there. And I know he's not going to want to stay in on Aloe, because I'm just going to weaken his eruption. He wants it as powerful as possible, so I just go for a Toxic, predicting a switch, and he switch out to Dory the Lantern. Unfortunately, I missed the Toxic there. But anyway, I know he's either going to go for a Volt Switch or a T-Wave, and I don't really care about either, because I can just Heal Bell with Uxie if he T-Waves me, and I know Volt Switch is going to do absolutely pathetic damage because of the light screen, so I'm just going to go for a Toxic, predicting that Volt Switch. And he switches up to Leet Speed, his Gallade, and I hit the Toxic on him, which is nice because that's going to discourage him from setting up too much. Plus, with him being naturally especially bulky and getting boost from Bulk Up, that Toxic is going to wear him down nicely should he decide to stay in and set up. And here I'm going to switch to Berlin, hoping to set up a Reflect. You know, because then that mitigates his setups. And then right when he goes for this Bulk Up, I kind of realize he's probably got something to hit Psychic types, because otherwise he just gets completely walled by them, so you know, why wouldn't he have something to hit them? And Berlin is at less than half HP, so I switch back to Aloe to hopefully Wish Pass to Berlin, but he switches in Super Lucky, this Hunchcrow, and that's going to prevent me from switching back into Berlin at all. Fortunately, though, I know that Aloe can take hits from this thing for days, but just in case, I want to stall a bit with Protect here to get a little bit of HP back, because I want as much HP as possible in case he gets a crit or something like that. Especially judging from his nickname, he's obviously got Super Luck. But anyway, he goes for a Tailwind, and I really don't care about that because I'm not going to switch Aloe out anyway, and nothing on his team scares her out. So I'm just going to go for a Wish to recover whatever damage he might do to me next turn. And after Leftovers, I'm at full HP, so I'm feeling pretty good about my position, even though my light screen runs out. And he's going to go for a Night Slash, which will do pretty much no damage to me after a Wish. Actually, it'll literally do no damage to me after a Wish, because Aloe is a boss like that. But now I have to worry about getting screens back up, so I just go for a Toxic, hoping to stall him out till he retreats, so I can safely switch into Berlin to get my screens. And thanks to having a Life Orb, that switch should be happening pretty soon. Anyway, he indeed switches out to Dory the Lantern, as I just go for a Wish here, and then I'm going to be able to switch out, then switch back into Berlin to receive that Wish, which is what I do here, and I get all of my HP back, actually. But he reveals he has this Heal Bell on Lantern, and I'm thinking, great, I think I've just found public enemy number 1. he removes the poison from Gallade and Honchkrow, knowing all that work I just did. But the silver lining is that I do get all of my HP back from that wish, and now he loses his Tailwind too. I'm just going to set up a Reflect since I know he's going to Volt Switch into Honchkrow, and I'll be able to live whatever attack Honchkrow wants to throw at me after that Reflect. So, you know, I'm just thinking no big deal. But no, he actually switches into Carrots, his Claydol. And I'm just thinking, you know, that's completely fine. I just get a free screen that way, and I don't have to worry about taking damage. So I set up my light screen, and he goes for a Toxic, which doesn't really matter to me since I'm at full health for 1, and for 2, I can just heal it off with Heal Bell if I need to anyway. So I'm just going to go for a U-turn here next turn. Just to get some damage in, since I figure he's probably going to stay in to set up Stealth Rocks, and I have an Excelgar on my team which can hit him pretty hard, and I want to get him in before Stealth Rocks and before he switches out and all that. So yeah, I switched into Formula 1 my Excelgar, which is actually an offensive set meant for revenge killing, kinda. But anyway, I know I can deal some pretty heavy damage to Claydol or whatever he wants to switch in. So I'm just going to go for a Bug Buzz here. As he switches to Leet Speed to take that neutral hit with that nice special bulk there. And I just look at the damage to see if I'm going to switch in or switch out or stay in. And it's depressingly low. And then I notice that I don't take any recoil, which means I don't have Life Orb on this Excelgar like I thought I did. So I'm just incredibly irritated at this point. So I do the idiot move and switch out to Scyther, completely forgetting about those Stealth Rocks, and lose half of my HP. Yeah, and he hits me with his Quadra Drain Punch, so luckily he doesn't really do much damage to me. But I know he doesn't want to stand against Scyther, so I can scare him out and go for a Swords Dance. And he goes for a pretty smart play here and switches in Dory. I know I don't want to take a Volt Switch or a Scald, but you know, neither one of them would really be very good. So I'm just going to predict him to go for the super effective move here and U-turn out to Shine On my Rhydon. His name is Shine On, and he's a Rhydon. His name isn't Shine On my Rhydon. Whatever. Anyway, he's immune to that super effective hit, and he's only going to take around 30% from a Scald behind that light screen. And he does go for the Volt Switch. Now I have to think about whether he's going to switch out to avoid an Earthquake or not. So I just go for the safe Rock Blast. As he goes for that Scald there and doesn't get the burn, fortunately. So yeah, I go for the safe Rock Blast. I know it's going to do a respectable chunk of damage, but unfortunately I only hit twice. But fortunately it takes away around half of his remaining HP. And here I have to wonder if he's going to switch out or fearing an Earthquake. But I figure I should just go for the Earthquake since he's not going to be able to kill with the Scald anyway, and I can kill him from this range with an Earthquake, whether or not I get a burn, but fortunately he doesn't get the burn. But yeah, I take down that Lantern, and that's a really big piece of that puzzle out of the way. He switches into Herp Derp the Feraligatr. And I don't have any super effective moves against it, so I'm just going to switch out to Aloe. But what I probably should have done there is go into Berlin to set up a Reflect and then switched out to Aloe, because I knew he was just going to start dancing anyway, and if I had a Reflect up, it would mitigate that boost. But instead, as he goes for this second Swords Dance, I'm just going to throw a Toxic at him so that I can start to get some residual damage rolling as soon as I possibly can. But now I'm in a bit of a predicament because I'm not sure if he's going to attack or not. So I just go for a Wish, hoping that he doesn't Swords Dance again. But of course, he keeps dancing. And at this point, I'm kind of kicking myself at all these missed opportunities I had to get a Reflect up. But now I'm too scared of what he's going to do to switch out. Because, you know, I don't know what he's going to do yet, so, you know, I don't want to lose Berlin, And he goes for this Earthquake here, and I'm just hoping that Aloe is bulky enough to live it and get her wish. And she just barely does, with a nearly invisible sliver of HP as I retaliate with Waterfall, just wanting to speed this Toxic stall up a bit. So yeah, both of our wishes came true there. She gets her HP back, and I get to keep my Wish Passer. And after leftovers, she's going to be at just over half. Now, at this point is where I really should have switched into Berlin, because I should have known that he was going to go for another EQ to get rid of Aloe, which wouldn't affect Berlin because it's got Levitate, but instead I go for Protect to get back some more HP. And now and after this actually is when I switch into Berlin, since I see that he's pretty set on using EQ to knock out Aloe. So at this point I can hopefully get a Reflect up and switch back out into Aloe and finish stalling him off because he's almost dead. And that'll be another threat out of the way. But he goes for Waterfall, and that is absolutely devastating, because I know that at this range of HP, not even max HP, max defense, Impish Uxie can withstand this plus 6 stab Waterfall. And I'm just hating myself right now, because he's got Life Orb, and he was almost dead anyway, and I should have switched in, and now I can't set up screens anymore, which means that I lose a lot of my switching potential since most of my team is severely weakened. At least he dies to Toxic there, but JD obviously senses that my team is pretty weak right now and switches in to Typhlosion, but I predict that and go into Aloe Vera, and that's going to force a switch out, giving me an opportunity to wish, and I can just go for Protect the turn afterward to guarantee my wish and restore my HP back to full. And he switches out to Super Lucky and goes for that Brave Bird. But I go for the Protect, so I don't take any damage, and I get all of my HP back. Yay. So after this, he goes for a Night Slash. Getting ahead of myself a bit. He goes for a Night Slash, and I'm a bit afraid of that because I don't have a Reflect up, but now that I think about it, I didn't have one up the first time anyway, so I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of damage that did. And I follow up with a Toxic because he can't heal that off anymore, and Toxic is the last thing this Life Orber wants to have, especially since his hardest hitting stab move is a Brave Bird, and that's going to give him recoil anyway. So now I'm feeling pretty good about my position. He goes for Brave Bird, and I'm not really sweating it, because I can just wish it off or whatever. My HP just keeps going down and down, and I realize he gets the crit. And so now I'm just in huge trouble. I no longer have any screens to pass, nothing to scare out this Typhlosion. I don't have any HP recovery, and half my pokes are half dead. And this Moxie boost doesn't really even matter, because I still have Formula 1, and he's practically dead anyway. And if he chose to switch back in, he would just die to Toxic. So I can just switch in Formula 1, my Excelgor, and kill with a Buzz because I easily outspeed him. So this Honchkrow definitely did a number on me, but fortunately its reign of terror is over. He switches into Bake Mute, and I'm not really afraid of him because I know Excelgor is really fast, right? Wrong. He is Scarfed, and I'm an idiot, and he outspeeds me with a full power Eruption and kills Formula 1, which I was hoping would outspeed him and weaken that Eruption. And now I'm out of a Revenge Killer, and it would have been really helpful for Claydol. But anyway, I switched into Shinon here, not really expecting much, but I know that I quad resist fire moves, and Shinon is my best bet at turning this around. Bakeman just kind of laughs at my weakened Rhydon, who'd usually scare him out. But Shinon grits his teeth and musters up all the strength his constitution affords him and lives with 7 HP, and my jaw just drops right now as I go for the Earthquake, with Shinon summoning the last of his strength to kill off this immeasurably gigantesque threat, and Rhydon just has given me the hope to keep fighting. I mean, at this point, Shinon has just made me impossibly proud. JD switches in Gallade and takes him out with a Drain Punch, but Shinon has definitely earned his keep here and deserves a good rest anyway. Thank you, buddy. At this point, I realize I still have a chance to win this since the 2 remaining pokes are weak to Scyther stab moves. I should say. So I switch in 7 League Step here, my Hitmonlee, so that I can get rid of the Stealth Rocks, so I can switch in Scyther. So I just go for a Rapid Spin since I know I outspeed this guy. But unfortunately, that's all Hitmonlee is able to do because he just Zen Butts me here. And Hitmonlee's defense is about as good as my pickup lines, so that's a pretty easy one-hit KO. But that's okay, though, since all I really needed was to have rocks gone, and this gives me a free switch to Scyther anyways, and I know that nothing this Gallade can do to me will kill, and I resist all of his stab moves, so this gives me an opportunity to set up a Swords Dance, as he goes for a Zen Headbutt here, his strongest move, and that actually does around half my HP, so if he had gotten a crit somehow, that he probably could have ended the fight there. But he doesn't. I considered using just another Swords Dance, but ultimately I just decided it wasn't worth it. And I instead go for an Aerial Ace, since Gallade has pretty shit defense anyway. He goes for that Shadow Sneak, just wanting to get some damage in, and but it's obviously not enough. And even from nearly full HP, Scyther gets an easy kill there. Next up, he switches in his last Pokemon, his Claydol, and I'm not sure I can kill it in one hit with a U-turn, and I don't, actually. He lives with a pretty noticeable chunk of HP, and I'm just hoping he doesn't have, like, Hidden Power Rock or something other than Earth Power. But he goes for the Toxic, and I let out this exaggerated sigh of relief as I just go for one more U-turn for the win. And, yeah, I got a bit ahead of myself in the excitement there, but yeah, I go for the U-turn here for the win, and that was an epic battle, JD. Sure to be passed down by the bars for ages, written in marble to be idolized by all. But anyway, JD is a really awesome narrator and battler, and I really appreciate him taking the time out to battle me, and I really appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this. If you liked the video, please leave a like, and if you really liked it, you can subscribe to me. But yeah, thanks everybody involved, and I really hope you enjoyed. This has been Pooch for the win. Stay tuned for the next video. Peace out.